Hi, how was your week? Did you have a good week? Yeah? Did you get to go outside and play? Maybe go for a walk? Yeah? Speaking of walking, reminds me of last week's story. Remember what last week's story is? Let's see. See if you remember this. Remember we have a little memory verse? Rise up and walk. Remember our little guy? Remember him? Remember? The beggar man was at the gate and he was begging for money. And Peter, he told him that he should rise up and walk. And he got up and he walked and he knew he was healed by the power of God. Remember that? Yeah? Well, this week we're going to talk about telling the truth and how important it is. So let's hear our story for this week. After Jesus went back to heaven, Peter preached and helped the poor people in his church to make sure that they had enough food, clothes, and money. Some kind people from his church wanted to help too. They shared everything they had. They sold their land and houses and brought the money to the preachers. Then the preachers gave the money to anyone who didn't have enough. Ananias was a man and his wife's name was Sapphira. Ananias and Sapphira wanted to give some money to the church. That was a good thing to do, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a good thing. But they did something that was not right. What do you think they did? I think we're gonna have to read more to find out if you're right. They sold some land and they decided, let's give only some of the money to the church and let's keep the rest for ourselves. Nobody knows how much money we have, so let's say that this is all our money. And what do you think that's called? What do you think that trickery is called? That trickery that Ananias and Sapphira were doing was telling a lie. They're going to be lying to the church. So Ananias took some of the money and gave it to Peter and the other preachers. God told Peter what to say. Peter said, Ananias, why did you listen to Satan when he told you to lie to God? Why did you keep some of the money for yourself? You didn't have to give all the money, but it's wrong to tell a lie about it. Do not lie to us. Really, you lied to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell over and died, just like that. Everyone who heard about it was scared, afraid. About 3 hours later, Sapphira came in. She didn't know what had happened to Ananias. Peter asked, Sapphira, is this all the money you got when you sold your land? Yes, she said, that's all the money. Peter said, why did you agree to trick God? The people who buried your husband, Ananias, will bury you. And right away, she fell over and died. How would you feel if you had been one of the people in the church? I would have been very afraid. I would have think I learned my lesson. And you don't tell lies to God. I knew that I didn't have to share all my money, but I don't have to lie about it. I can just simply say, here is some money for the church. I don't have to say this is all the money I have, because I'm not going to trick God. God can't be tricked. Let's see if our story tells us that too. Everyone in the church and everyone else who heard about this was very afraid. They learned they could not trick God. God always knows what we're thinking and what we do. See? God can't be tricked. We cannot lie to God. He always knows the truth. He will punish anyone who does not tell the truth. God hates lies. He loves the truth. In fact, Jesus said, I am the truth. What was the good thing Ananias and Sapphira did? Remember? What was the good thing that they did? They gave their money to the church. Well, what was the bad thing that they did? They lied about the money. And how did Peter know Ananias was telling a lie? Remember? God told him. Remember? What happened to Ananias and Sapphira because they had lied? They died. Yeah, that's right. And how did the other people feel when they heard about this? Remember? They were afraid. They were very afraid. Yes. It's very important to tell the truth. And you have to know that it's even more important to be honest with God because He knows the truth. He knows. You can't trick Him. Yes. And our verse this week is speak every man truth with his neighbors. Ephesians 4:25. And if you have the book, you'll have this little paper and you can cut it out. And I colored mine. The same color as my background. And I glued it on there. And I can hang it on my refrigerator to remind me. And if you don't have one of those books, you can cut out a little circle or oval or a square and you can write it right on there. Speak every man truth with his neighbors. Ephesians 4:25. Now, if you have the book, then you have this paper. Let's see. I can't find my paper. Where'd my paper go? I have a book, but I can't find my paper. Where is my paper? I'm looking for my paper. Here's a picture of... Here's the picture of Ananias when he lied and he fell over and died. And there's a coloring paper for you if you have the book. And here is the paper for the week. This is the paper. These are the questions, okay? Can you see those questions, okay? Make sure you can see those questions, okay? Okay, so these are the questions. So let's go over the questions real quick, okay? What did Ananias and Sapphira give to the church? Remember? Did they give clothing, money, or house? They gave money. So if you said money, you're right. To whom did they bring their gift? Did they bring it to Peter? Did they bring it to one of the leaders of the church? Or did they give it to an angel? Do you remember? Who did they bring it to? Who did they bring it to? Right, they brought it to Peter. That's right. And what happened because they lied about the money? Do you remember? Did somebody beat them? Or did they go to jail? Or did they die? That's right. If you said they died, you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, before I go, I'm going to tell you a little story. Searching for seeds. There's a little boy, and his name is Matthew, and he liked helping Mommy and Daddy plant the garden. He often said, I wish I could eat this corn right now. So I guess that means he was planting corn. And Mommy smiled and said, when it's your birthday time, then we'll eat corn on the cob. Be sure not to put any seeds in your mouth now, because they might make you sick. Daddy, Matthew asked next, how does the tiny seed get so big? And Daddy explained how the little corn seeds need to be in the ground where it's warm. And then a little sprout pokes out of the seeds. It keeps on growing until it is out of the ground. Then it keeps on growing and growing until it is tall as Daddy. Then it gets corn cobs with lots of seeds. Matthew wished he knew how the little seed looked with the sprout coming out of it. He wished the ground wouldn't cover it up. Matthew wished he knew how the little seed looked with the sprout coming out, Oh, I just read that. I'm sorry. He wished the ground wouldn't cover it up. Several weeks later, when Matthew was playing outside, he thought he would check on the corn. He found the corn row and stood beside the plant. I wonder if the seed is still on the bottom. I wonder if it still looks the same as it did before, he thought. He pulled out the first plant, but no seed came out. He pulled the second plant, but there was no seed with that one either. He checked the next one, but it didn't have a seed. I want to find one that has a seed, he thought. So he kept pulling out the next one and the next one and the next one. Suddenly he realized he had pulled out a lot of plants. He thought I had better stick them back in right away, but pretty soon he heard Mommy calling for his lunch. When Mommy checked to see that he had washed his hands, she asked, "Did you have a good time playing?" "Yep," he answered. "What were you doing in the garden?" "Oh, looking at the garden at the plants." "I see. Was that all you were doing?" No, I was playing farm." "Did you use your tractor? Did you have your tractor with you?" Mommy asked. "No, I was just getting ready to use the tractor," he answered. Mommy looked at him for a bit. "I see," she said. "Let's eat our lunch." All through lunch, Matthew didn't feel very well. His tummy felt funny, and his head felt hot. He tried to eat, but he didn't feel like it. He kept thinking about the lie he had told. Would Mommy find out? What would she do? Would she spank him? At last, Mommy reached over and touched his hand. "Matthew," she said kindly, "is something wrong? Are you feeling sick?" Matthew looked up at Mommy, then down at the plate. One little tear went running down his cheek, and he started to cry. "Mommy, I told a lie. I wanted to see if the seed on the corn plant, but I couldn't find any, and now I don't know how to put the plants back into the ground. And I'm really sorry that I did it." Mommy put her arm around him and gave him a squeeze. "I'm sad that you pulled out the plants in the garden, but it makes me even more sad that you told me a lie. I'm glad you decided to tell the truth.